important is your reputation? My reputation is pretty important, but you know there are things that are actually far more important than my reputation. You might think that's an odd thing to say, and maybe my explanation that I give you on today's Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. By the way, I'm your host. My name is Kurt. Glad to have you aboard today, whether on Rumble, on YouTube, on the podcast. Today is Thursday, the 10th of June of 2021. But you may come to understand why exactly that subject, reputation, is not as important to me as I personally once thought it to be, and as you might expect it would be for me. I want to go ahead and read my notes as I pretty much usually do. And I say this in the notes. I say, when I was younger, I was entirely too worried about my reputation. As I've gotten older, I've come to realize I'd rather have a bad reputation than compromise my integrity. Even though that's the case, you should know how people see me is pretty important if it doesn't go against my, quote, moral compass, end of quote. You definitely should not worry more about how folks think when they look at you than who you actually are. On the other hand, just as with following the law, I'm going to do it if higher and more important doesn't apply, right? If something higher or more important doesn't apply. So I'm going to seek to maintain a good reputation if there's not something more important. If I have to sacrifice my reputation for my integrity, I'll do it. Put another way. If I have to sacrifice my reputation for things that are more important, I'll do it. By the way, I'm done with my notes in case you were wondering. But the point I'm making is this. As a rule, who I know myself to be is more important than my reputation. I've seen people say things. I'm going to pick somebody, and it's not out of the air. Some of you will understand why. Others will shrug, not care, or not believe what I have to say. I'm going to talk about Donald Trump for just a minute. If you ask me whether or not Donald Trump is the perfect human being, the answer to that in my mind is, well, frankly, pretty obviously no. If you ask me how close he is to perfection, I think I would probably answer fairly similarly. That having been said, if you ask the same questions about me, to me, I would answer with the same answers. I'm nowhere near perfect. Nowhere near. Nowhere near a man of the level of integrity that I'd like to maintain. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get there, but I'm not there. My point in bringing up Donald Trump is this. Donald Trump has, in many regards, a bad reputation. But the truth is, everything I see about the person says that the reputation is not deserved. We used to worry about this, and it's not something that we worry about these days nearly so much. People will say things like, well, Donald Trump is a racist, and I'll go, really? How? Well, he talks about Muslims. Islam is not a race. So him talking about Islam, him talking about Muslims, he's not talking about a race. He's talking about the ideas that underlie a philosophy, a morality, a worldview, a political ideology to some measure, and a religion. He's not talking about people on the basis of race. That is not race. If he said bad things about Christianity, I would not say you're a racist, Mr. Trump. I wouldn't say that. That's not true. Okay? Well, what about what he said about the S-hole countries? And I'm not going to say the word. I'm going to keep this as polite as I can. I have to kind of give you an idea what it was that he said, so that's why I had to say the thing in the first place. I'm not trying to say that I necessarily agree with him in every regard, but again, it wasn't about race. It wasn't about race. He wasn't saying because I'm white, everything's better here. I'm sure that there are countries in the world that you could point to where people are, quote, white, and those countries are S-hole countries according to Donald Trump. So the idea that that's based on race is not correct. What about the idea that among Hispanics or Mexicans, there are rapists and gang members and so forth, and they're trying to get in the United States? If you said every Hispanic was a rapist, gang member, a drug dealer, whatever, I would go, yeah, that would be a problem. Though I still question whether or not you could couch it as racism. But he didn't. He said among those who are coming across the border to the United States are these people, and they're doing so with the idea that they can profit in the doing of it, and that's why they do it. The point wasn't to point to everybody who's Hispanic or whatever they happen to be, Iranian, whatever they happen to be, and say this entire group of people is horrible. In fact, he said about those people that there were good people among them, right? The point is that Mr. Trump's reputation has been sullied by people saying that he does things and is things. Those things don't appear to be who he is. Which is more important, though, his integrity or his reputation? I would tell you that if I were in his shoes, I would be looking to maintain my integrity and not being as worried about my reputation. Again, does that mean I don't worry about it at all? No, it doesn't mean that. Of course I worry about my reputation. I would suggest Mr. Trump do the same. And by the way, in my personal opinion, I would suggest, and I believe he probably is doing this, that he defend his reputation because, as I say, in my view, the reputation that he currently has is ill-deserved. He doesn't deserve that reputation. Now, that's not who he is. That's not how he works. So when people say, well, Donald Trump is a racist, or Donald Trump is this, or Donald Trump is that, Donald Trump wants to be a totalitarian. Wait, let me see if I get this straight. You're talking about the guy who left office when his term was over. Regardless that he thought that the elections were thrown, regardless whether he's correct or not, he felt like the election was a sham, right, from everything I hear. And I'm not going to get into whether or not I think that. Not because I don't have definite opinions on that, but because that's not what this particular video is supposed to be about. The point is, Donald Trump thought the election had cheated him out of office. But when it came time to leave, that's what he did. There are a bunch of people right now who are sitting in jail cells in solitary confinement in many instances. And those people, quite frankly and quite honestly, don't belong there at all. They had to do with the January 6th supposed uprising, which was no such thing. Anybody who argues that is out of their tree. You don't uprise for 2 hours with really nobody doing anything to you and being arrested, weeks or months after the event because you left of your own accord. You don't call something like that an uprising or an insurrection because it's ridiculous. And that's obvious. But here's the thing. For those people, as little as I like the fact that they're sitting in jail cells right now for many of them, I pray that they maintain their integrity and worry less about their reputation. If I found myself in similar circumstances, that's what I would do. Now let me tell you, I don't see myself as being somebody who would go and whether it's rioting or whether it's demonstration, go to the Capitol and stomp my feet. I just don't see myself doing that. I don't see that as beneficial, to be frank with you. But nonetheless, they did what they felt was the appropriate and proper thing for them to do, and the end of that was that they ended up in difficult spots. Let me point something out to you. The reputations of pretty much all of the founders of the United States were trashed as far as England was concerned. They're revered by the United States, but they had garbage reputations, and literally many of them died in poverty and saw horrible things happen to themselves and their families on the way to the grave. They weren't so worried about their reputation as they were about their integrity, and this is what I'm trying to tell you need to do. Worry about your integrity. For the most part, let the reputation take care of itself. It doesn't hurt to defend it if you can without sacrificing your integrity. Okay, I'm about done with my video for the day. I need to get back to other things, obviously. As I say, this is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Thursday, the 10th of June of 2021. That means tomorrow will be Friday, the 11th of June of 2021. Thank you for having come along, whether it was on Rumble, on YouTube, on the podcast. Remember, Rumble is my preferred platform. That being said, I know you're going to join me from wherever you choose to, and I can't begrudge you that in any way. If you join me on Rumble, remember you can give me a positive Rumble if you want to do that. You can also give me a negative one, whichever you choose to do. You can give me a like or a dislike. That's a thumbs up or a thumbs down on YouTube. Remember that as well. You can always comment on anything that I say, and I'll do everything that I can to make sure that I look at the comments if I am notified of them, as I hope to be. Again, the subject for today has been reputation, and tomorrow we're going to talk about something that I think people need to understand, and I kind of question whether or not a lot of younger folks do, and that is you're seldom ready. You're seldom ready. And that's a broad statement, and it's intentionally broad because it's true for a lot of things. Anyway, we'll talk some more about that tomorrow. I hope that you're doing well today. I hope that everything is going well for you. We're steadily moving towards the end of the week. It is Thursday, as I say today. That means tomorrow we'll hit that big Friday where most people will do their last day of the work week. Hope you're doing well, as I've said, and hope things are going good for you. And hopefully we will see you again on tomorrow's Daily Summation. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Thursday, June 10th of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.